Good morning, everyone. KJ here. Got my coffee in hand. It's Friday. And we got some news yesterday. Sam Willow let KJ know that Melanie P stuff is being pushed a little way further. What is it about justice, y'all? Good morning, Kathy Barella. What is it about justice? What is your definition of justice? What is it all about? I mean, have I become so cynical about the justice system and how justice is going to be served, y'all? Yesterday was my eldest son's birthday. He turned 33. I didn't get to see him. As many of you know, I'm estranged from him. I've been in a real funky mood. But I guess it does. Doesn't it always come back to how we see life and what it all means for us individually? Good morning, We Do Recover. Language of Horses. Nicole and Teresa. I Live for Now. Grammy B. Fancy Nancy. Maria P. Peggy. What am I supposed to do when things don't work out in my own personal life the way that I want to? Which is part of life, right? And then I have to go, and because I am interested in seeing justice done on these evil, diabolical people, I have to look and I have to see it for what it is. And it seems so unfair as well. Now, some would say, KJ, the hussy's in prison for the rest of her life. That's justice. Chad's fixing to go down this road. He's going to get his ass chewed one way or the other. That's justice. Well, justice has a lot more areas in it than just laying the hammer down. Justice is part of the judicial process, right? And we know how broken the judicial process is in the United States. So Melanie Pulaski has got a little bit longer to get her shit together, whatever it is. And everybody knows, including her, that she deserves a jail cell, or at least for nothing else. Let's get this shit on the road. Let's get it adjudicated, whatever we got to do. Because justice isn't just about the punishment or guilty, not guilty, innocent until proven guilty. Give me a break. I'm tired of people that do this shit all over the damn world. They kill other people. They hurt other people. And then they want to get away with it. They want to just forget that in their moments of their criminality, they wasn't thinking, or maybe they were. Either way it goes. It's a different ball game when a case has been adjudicated and you're guilty as hell. And for anyone that wants to say, well, Melanie P., she hasn't been convicted of computer tampering. Folks, this woman was in a freaking cult. Maria P. says justice is eventually done by the Lord. There's too much corruption in the system to expect real justice. Melanie Pulaski will eventually get what she deserves. And Maria P., how many times? And you're right. You're right. But how many times through this last few years, before all this got done with the freaking hussy, whenever something would just, she got put in the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, freaking spa, all that stuff. We always said, or at least I did, I can't speak for everyone, that God's true justice overall is really what matters, and it does, y'all. But I'm a human being with feelings. I gotta go find my lighter. Sorry about that, y'all. Y'all know this ain't no show. This is my everyday living. And yesterday, I went and I spent all day, from about 10:30-ish, all the way up till 6 o'clock yesterday evening, y'all. I went fishing. I went fishing on the side of the bank. I didn't go in the boat. I went down to Normandy Lake, and I sat on the damn bank. It was my son's birthday. I wanted to clear my brain out. I wanted to focus on something other than the fact that this is another birthday for my son. So justice is coming for old Chatty Boy, right? Well, what about Tim Ballard, huh? What kind of justice is Tim Ballard going to get? Oh, yeah, I know. He's being civilly sued. What about criminal charges? Are these people really going to go through life getting away with this shit, but if anybody else did it, they would be filing criminal charges? Salt Lake City, Governor Spencer Cox said alleged sexual misconduct by former Operation Underground Railroad CEO Tim Ballard appears, y'all, it appears to be criminal behavior, while also noting Ballard's presumed innocence. Give me a break. At the monthly PBS Utah News Conference Thursday, which was yesterday, y'all, while I'm sitting my ass on the shore fishing, this news came down. A Media 2 News directly asked Cox, who is a lawyer, if there should be a criminal investigation into Ballard. And the governor of Utah says quite clearly, I think yes. I think prosecutors would have a duty to investigate. Well, didn't they already do that? No charges filed on Tim Ballard. But they say, well, this stuff came out after they closed that investigation. But the governor says it's important that justice is served. A previous investigation by Davis County Attorney Troy Rawlings into Operation Underground Railroad, the anti-human trafficking organization that Ballard founded and used to run, resulted in no charges. Then a group of women, once tied to OUR, accused Ballard of sexual misconduct surrounding a couple's ruse, purportedly aimed at deceiving traffickers into thinking Ballard and the women were romantically linked. Ballard has called the sexual misconduct allegations falsehoods and cast them as an attack on his efforts to fight human trafficking. Let's just stop there for a minute. Who in the hell wants to attack someone who's trying to help traffic children? Has he specified why they want to attack him? These women want to attack him? These women that don't want to be where they're at right now? Their names are going to have to come out sooner or later. And in Tim Ballard and his wife Catherine's statement saying, these women that are unnamed. But then they go on to talk about Each of these women, some of them were in the operation, some of them didn't make the cut. They know who the hell these women are. These women want to attack Tim Ballard with falsehoods. They want to do this shit. What? Some would say, well, KJ, there are people that are really backing Tim Ballard, and they believe Tim Ballard is being attacked because these women want money. Folks, do you know how ridiculous that sounds? So these women want money and they want to stop someone from helping children. And I am not going to give into this bullshit about, well, there are people and corporations and government that are trying to stop Tim Ballard, the forces of evil. Well, I'll tell you what. Was it purity? Was it innocence that Tim Ballard's putting a woman's leg up on his shoulder and humping on her? Is that innocence? Is that purity? I don't think so. Questions have also delved into Ballard's association with Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes. They were together on at least one Operation Underground Railroad exercise outside the country, and the two may be close. They are close. And allegedly, I would say that Sean Reyes has been in a couple of those damn titty bars. Cox said, and this is Governor Cox, y'all. He is at a news conference. If people can't see the forest through the trees on the politics and the implications of this statement that he made about Tim Ballard, Cox said he would still be comfortable with the Attorney General's office conducting a criminal investigation into Ballard, saying the office has, quote, the ability to wall off the Attorney General, unquote. Well, when they did that county investigation and they closed it, there were emails within those legal documents saying basically that Attorney General Reyes should not know about any of this. Y'all, does anybody really believe that any attorneys from his office are not going to tell Attorney General Sean Reyes what the hell this investigation is showing? We don't want it to look like any kind of conflict of interest here. I would be comfortable just because I know these attorneys, said the governor, adding the AG's office has dozens, if not hundreds, of lawyers. I work with them all the time, and they're incredible professionals. A spokesman for Reyes said a case against Ballard is outside the realm of the Attorney General's office. So a spokesman for a Utah Attorney General Reyes is telling everyone that this is outside the realm, and yet you've got the governor of Utah saying it could happen. Folks, just a theory, just a hypothesis. Added in this news of governor of Utah, they're talking about, yes, Tim Ballard should be probed for criminal charges. He also talks about, there's articles about how since this has come out, the legislature in Utah wants to see about, or at least talk about, instead of an attorney general in Utah being elected, it should be appointed. And the media asked Governor Cox this, and he says that is interesting in that when you are elected, these are his words, this is Governor Cox's words. He says when you're elected, you have there's this perverse thing that goes on because you've got donors. Well, wonder who gave money to Attorney General Reyes as he was campaigning for Attorney General. Make no mistake, Tim Ballard and others who thought Tim Ballard was the Mormon Messiah or the Mormon hero or whatever it is, So whether or not an attorney general should be appointed, which other states can and will do that, that's a question for the legislature in Utah. But it says to me in a public news conference that the governor of Utah's talked about, he is basically saying, asking really, underneath it all, between the lines, go look at his donor list. Find out who is giving Attorney General Ray's money for his campaign. Then you're going to understand why this hasn't gone into criminal investigation and why the Attorney General's office never did open up an investigation criminally on Tim Ballard. So it is my theory that this is going to get the wheel turning. I do believe. There'll be other stories that come out talking about who some of these donors are of Attorney General Ray's. And he better take his thumb off the shit unless some other county attorney or somebody appoint a special investigator attorney and he can pretend that he's walled off, that he is walled off because Attorney General Ray's has a conflict of interest there. Let them pretend. Because when the rubber meets the pavement, it's bullshit. Attorney General Ray's knows everything before, during, and after that closed investigation. And we got into some of that. And none of it is going to provide any idea that there could be a criminal case. Give me a break, y'all. Tim Ballard does not just need his ass sued civilly. He needs a criminal investigation. So what is justice? Again, what is justice? It does have to do with convictions and charges and innocent until proven guilty and adjudication. And I mean, you could go down a whole damn laundry list of terms. You got attorneys, you've got court personnel, you've got laws, you've got codes, you've got statutes. And you've got convictions. Convictions, y'all. In this justice scheme, there are convicted people that don't want to accept responsibility for their evil deeds. I don't give a rat's ass if part of our judicial process is appeals. When these people, they get convicted, freaking throw the freaking key away or do something, y'all. It's a waste of freaking time and money. You got Lori over here. She's got her very own appeals attorney. Eventually, Chad will have one too. Hell, they've got the longest serving death penalty convict in Idaho who got a stay on his execution. And y'all, they haven't executed anyone in Idaho. And you know as well as I do, they can't enforce their death penalty laws. But what about the convicted Timothy Ferritter? Oh yeah, y'all. He was in court yesterday as KJ was throwing out the line. And by the way, I didn't catch anything all day long. A Jupiter man, and this is yesterday, y'all. A Jupiter man is attempting to get out of jail while awaiting sentencing for locking his adopted son in a box that was built in the garage of their home. At Thursday's bond hearing for Tim Ferritter, defense attorney Karam Wahad told the judge that there is no doubt that his client will show up to be sentenced next month. In terms of travel and that sort of thing, there's no intention to leave the state of Florida In fact, not even leave the county of Palm Beach. He pointed out that Ferreter was on bond prior to his trial, but prosecutor Brianna Coakley says this time around the man is facing up to 40 years in prison. And the prosecutor says that creates a substantial risk of a flight risk, Your Honor, that was not present before. She also called a pre-sentence release incredibly rare. And guess what, y'all? The judge did agree. It was incredibly rare. And the judge said he would issue a written ruling as quickly as possible. And y'all, it's just a theory. He's going to come out with that ruling today. It's Friday. Ferreter's sentencing hearing is set for November 16th. And so they have a nice special little bond hearing when we've got, just a few weeks away from it. He wants a little more time. A little more time to do what? What? What is he going to do? His wife, Tracy Ferreter, still faces her own trial on the same charges of child abuse, child neglect, and false imprisonment. And prosecutors, again, have argued Ferreter is a flight risk. The defense said Ferreter is able to pay a bond of $100,000 and is willing to surrender his passport and wear a GPS tracking device while he's out. You know what, y'all? When I think about that, I think about this $100,000 that Timothy Ferreter wants to pay so he can get out of jail for freedom just a couple of more weeks. Why couldn't he have used that $100,000 to get his son some help? Why couldn't he have hired the best therapist or at least paid for the medications that needed to be, whatever they had to do? And really, I have to wonder how much did it cost? I actually asked Wayne. I said, Wayne, how much does it cost to build an 8x8 sheetrocked room, to frame it up, put the sheetrock in it? I even showed Wayne pictures just out of curiosity. And he said, well, Florida, the price of living is higher there. But around here, it would probably be around between $3,500 and $4,800. That would be the materials and labor for that one little 8x8 room. That's here in Tennessee. It probably would cost more in Florida. But $100,000. Timothy Ferreter wants to pay that so he can have a few more weeks of freedom. He does not have any custody of the children, and therefore there is no issue there, says the defense attorney when the prosecution talks about he doesn't need to be around the children. But the prosecutor said that's not true. The youngest child, y'all, Pierce, that's the biological child, the youngest one, in this case was adopted by his co-defendant's parents. Tracy's parents adopted Pierce. I guess she sees the writing on the wall, huh? And he's had continuing contact with that child ever since he's been in custody. This man has been convicted of aggravated child abuse, and he is still being around a child. No, it isn't around Ronan, the victim there. But folks, it's ridiculous. These people, justice does not seem to be anywhere. He still is having contact with the youngest child. Prosecutors say he could be a flight risk because a friend put up the money for the initial bond back in 2022. And prosecutors argue Tim has international contacts through work trips and friendships, including his close friend who flew in from Australia to testify on his behalf. Not only can we prevent him from fleeing, but we can protect the community from someone who has now been convicted of multiple crimes against a child, says the prosecutor. The judge said he would need time to review the arguments and other rulings on similar cases. His decision could come within the next day or so. So back to justice, y'all. Timothy Ferriter is facing 40 years, and he still has a chance to get out on bond. If y'all recall, y'all remember back when Mark Means was trying to get Lori out on bond? Y'all, if anyone is a freaking flight risk, that damn hussy is. And thank God it didn't happen. Thank God that Chad Daybell couldn't talk his damn friend, the neighbors, or whatever the Carlsons, I think that's their name, into putting up their home. And Chad tried everything he could because, see, Chad wanted to get Lori out as quickly as possible, not because he loves her. There is no love in any of this. He wanted her out so he could keep his thumb down on her. He was afraid that her being in a jail cell would make her speak. Remember, Rob Wood talked about it. Well, she was going to talk to us, he says to Summer Shiflett, but Chad talked her out of it. Folks, the justice system in America, I don't necessarily, I'm not saying that I don't understand and can appreciate appeals processes and stuff, because there are people that are innocent that get proven guilty, and years later there are a lot, I'm sure, people in prison that are innocent to this day. But you know, I guess it is a check. It is a check on, okay, the whole court case file, the judge's rulings, the evidence, and all that has to be double checked before a conviction is like, you don't get an appeal. Right, Eric. Eric says, I can't believe that Chad asked his neighbors to mortgage their home for that skank. Maria P. says, in terms of Timothy Ferriter, I would stick him in a wood box like he had his son. Don't y'all find it interesting? This is a freaking grown man. And by the way, if y'all are curious, you can look. They got pictures of him yesterday. He didn't get his freaking hair gel, did he? He didn't get his hair gel. He looks like a freaking Muppet. But anyway, the bottom line is that these people, they do these crimes. They get all of these advantages up to, conviction. Then when they're convicted, they want to get out and be free for a while before they're sentenced. Some of these court systems sentence right after conviction, and others have a sentencing hearing. And these people want to be out. And yet, in Timothy Ferriter's case, how much time did he give his son out of that box? Hello, Kathy Mama Bear. Sam Willow said that you helped her realize that hearing wasn't going to go on yesterday. For Melanie Pulowski, I appreciate you letting someone know so that I could know. I really do appreciate it. So, Timothy Ferriter, and I say it's today, the judge is going to rule that he's to stay in jail because, again, he agreed with the prosecutor that it's extremely rare. And I cannot believe that a convicted, aggravated child abuse person is still having contact with one of the children. And I guess the reason why Tracy Ferriter let her parents adopt that youngest child, Pierce, number one, they didn't want that child in state custody, and number two, I guess she's covering all her bases now that she's got her hands on her face when her husband is convicted, and she's up next. Check. Eric Jasper says that's part of what's wrong with our system. Those crimes against children, they're too easy on them, and the penalties they have aren't harsh enough. Well, Eric, I agree with that. And as many of y'all know, I said the judge will probably give him 4 to 7 years, under the 10-year mark. There ain't no way that this judge is going to give Timothy Ferriter 40 years. Just ain't going to happen. He doesn't have a criminal background. I don't care how evil it was, what he did. The bottom line, he's going to probably give him 4 to 7 years under the 10-year mark. Because I'm going to tell y'all this right now. How many times have all of us threw our hands up in the air when we found out what someone convicted of some terrible crime got? Some of them, my brother was murdered in Rowan County, Kentucky. His murderer got 25 years to life. He didn't get a life sentence without parole. And yet he murdered my brother. Just an example, and it all depends on the state laws and whether something's being tried in state or federal court. Hello, Ann Gibson. Hello, Miss Frisco Wynn. Good morning, Eliza Witt. Eliza Witt, have a great day at work. It is Debbie Bukes. I guess if you want to try to neutralize it, make it an unbiased thing to look at, it is a really weird balance. And, but there was never any balance, and there wasn't any kind of real, the rights of the accused or any. When these people did the things they did, when they did them and they went through the process and they got convicted, they still don't want to face the consequences because they've got what? They've got this framework of appeals or getting out on bond before sentencing, or the fact that Utah, it is a damn shame, y'all, that law enforcement in Utah cannot see that at least an investigation. There has been no conviction of Tim Ballard sexually assaulting or harassing these women because there is no criminal case. It's all civil. And I guess if you want to get logical about it, this process is civil process. Sometimes, as many of y'all know, when you can't get someone criminally, you go after them civilly. Remember, they tried to do that with O.J. Simpson and other crimes and other people. They go after them civilly, and then there's a lower bar in civil court than there is in a criminal court. And then they can take that and say, well, they got a judgment on him for civil in civil court, so this could help us to go down the criminal charge pathway. You know what I'm saying? Attorney General Sean Reyes, he really has nowhere to go right now. When you've got the governor of Utah saying this could be done, there could be a criminal investigation. And y'all, it's just my belief that from what I saw in the investigation into OUR, and they closed the investigation, I believe there was enough in there to do something from that county attorney, and it's my belief, my theory, that they heard from the Attorney General's office and they closed that case. That's what I think. And when people are not on the up and up, doing the right things, when it comes to investigations through attorneys' offices or the law enforcement people themselves, and they're not doing the right things, you cannot expect for a judicial process to go smoothly at all. Time and time again, evil people get off the hook for these things that were done wrong in investigations. I mean, one of the defenses in any criminal case is the investigation, attack the investigation. It was a sloppy investigation, however you want to put it. The Journey to Justice says, do you think it was a setup? I don't know which way you're wanting to go with that. Are you saying a setup from the county investigation? Are you saying a setup for the Attorney General's office setup? You'll have to specify. Eric says, what I mean, found not guilty of the killings, but another court said financially you are responsible. That's messed up for a justice system. Right. Exactly. Great point, Eric. Great point. I mean, this whole live stream could be about us belly aching, KJ bitching and whining about the flaws in the justice system. But doesn't this go all the way back around to what Maria P. said, that the Lord's justice is perfect? I guess that answers that, huh? Which case are you talking about, the Journey to Justice? I'm on the wrong case. Well, I mean, y'all, I'm jumping from one subject to the next. It might be because of me. I don't know how these family members of the victims don't go hunting for these criminals when the justice system fails them, says Maria P. Well, there you go. It's Murphy's Law, or, what is it? Pitchforks and torches, taking them out behind the barn here in Tennessee, taking them down a dead-end road and coming back by yourself. Cindy Bullock says, a lot of people here in Utah think Ballard was just doing his job. No state-church separation. Well, Cindy, you made a good point. There are a lot of people that are still in his camp, if you want to call it that. A lot of people, they have this confirmation bias. They either donated or they really believed in what he was doing. And there's nothing wrong with supporting anyone who wants to help sex traffic children or women. But when you see the evidence right in front of your face and you would rather hear the crazy ass that somehow evil has come down on Tim Ballard, trying to stop him from saving the children, folks, these people would have to believe that all these women just wanted his money and none of them have any truth into what they're saying. And I just don't believe that. I believe it was either Language of Horses or Sam Willow talked about that you should always believe someone, because these people do not want to be here. Again, some of these women are in that church. And, eventually they're going to have to be named. And it's just interesting that Tim Ballard and his wife, Catherine, put out a statement basically saying, well, why won't you tell us your names even though we know who you are? That's even more harassment, really. Good morning, Dana Gopher. Sam Willow says, hopefully this helps more people do their research before donating. Well, saying nobody knew this stuff was going on because OUR was putting it under, they were not allowing people to know what was going on. And if anybody thinks Tim Ballard was out here publicly talking about, I'm going to be the Mormon prophet and the president of the United States, he wasn't. He was presenting himself in a way that people could have confidence in him. He was good in the public image until you scratched the surface and other people began to speak. Because, folks, this isn't just these women saying this. There are other why would OUR get rid of Tim Ballard, the CEO, the face of OUR, if they didn't have credible proof that this stuff was going on? They would have stood by their man. They would have been like all these supporters out here going, we don't want these attacks on our Wonderful Tim Ballard. We believe in him. People just need to use common sense. And Cindy Bullock, I agree. In our view, in my view, you say it as well. Tim Ballard is a perv, okay? He's a pervert. So, justice has many facets. There are times that I know, okay, I can only speak for myself, but I'm like, why do they have to have that rule there, that law there, that guideline there? Who gets to decide whether to press charges, which we know the answers? It's either local, state, or federal law enforcement does the investigation. They give it to a DA. They deal with it, decide whether they're going to charge or not. How many times have we seen datelines or whatever where they talk about they brought the case to the DA and the DA says, I still need more? Well, what more does anybody need on Timothy Ferritter? What more does anybody need for Tim Ballard? What more does anybody need on Lori the Hussy Daybell? Ann Gibson says most women don't want people to know if any sexual assault has happened. That's why I believe them, says Ann Gibson. And you have to really break it down and look at it. These women that are Mormon, that go to Mormon church, if they're saying that all of this terrible stuff happened, that's not going to look good on them. Why didn't they come forward immediately? This goes to the spiritual grooming. And this also goes to these women being fearful that they would get in trouble with their church. And I'm sure that a lot of people in that religion can understand why it took so long for these women to do what they did. Maybe, just maybe, they were waiting on that county investigation, hoping that he would get in trouble that way. And when they closed the investigation, with no charges or anything else, it forced their hand. Good morning on Rona Z. Tim thought because he was doing this stuff outside of the States, he wouldn't get caught, says Kathy Barella. Sam Willis says, Ann, you're right. It's humiliating, embarrassing. It's time-consuming, and these women face ridicule if their names are made public. So it had to have been you. I believe it was you, Sam Will. I wasn't sure if it was you or Language of Horses that had commented that. I do read all of your comments, and I do reflect on everything y'all say to me. Hello, Mary Seidler. Yeah, I saw that scrolling through YouTube, Mary, about the Maya trial going on. Yeah, I apologize, Samuela. The names I'm just old country girl saying. Sometimes I can't get them straight, and I want to give credit where credit is due. If I could think of everything, I would, but there's no way I can do that. What I do know is that justice can be slow. What I do know, justice can be unfair. Justice can be outright wrong. But again, as one of you has said, and I believe it was Maria P., real justice comes from above, from the Lord. That is my belief. It's good to be reminded of that. It's good to be reminded that in terms of justice, or even in my personal life, when I'm having trials and tribulations, that God is ultimately in control. And maybe, just maybe, one day, Justice will not matter. In fact, I know it won't matter. When OKJ in my belief system, I'm in heaven, there won't be any of this right or wrong stuff anymore. There won't be any punishments. There won't be any of that as I sit in heaven with my mother, my family members. I love you all. I hope y'all have a great weekend. I'm not sure where this went, but we will get back together soon. And just hang tough. I know that God's law is not man's law, and I guess it's just a venting type of situation to even go there when it comes to justice here on this earth. Y'all have a great weekend. I love you, and keep on looking.